Signal instant messaging app got an Electronic Frontier Foundation perfect score in 2014 and supposedly was hacked in 2022, 2020, and 2018, and other times depending on who you read this from. It's created and run by Signal Foundation and Signal Messenger LLC, two false companies that were created later on after it was created, for the purpose of doing really basic stuff like being the front-facing side of it. This can be used to stream or file transfer securely any video, audio, text, image, really any file, anything you can come up with on a computer or cell phone or whatever. And it did it by doing end-to-end encryption of the file itself and the streaming of it, the transmission of it, basically securing the living shit out of it. Is it perfect? In my opinion, nothing's perfect, obviously, but the Electronic Frontier Foundation gave it a perfect score for secure messaging, which is what it's for. Now, that doesn't keep you and me, our dumbasses, from making a mistake like giving out our password or having the phone left there with the program open, which means whoever's touching it has control over it. That'll come up later. Registering the program to make it work, for legal reasons most likely, requires a phone number, not necessarily her phone number or his phone number. It's a phone number. Yes, that's a Fight Club reference. Go look it up. And it has to be done over an Android or iOS device of some kind. That's way they can say plausibly, deniably, we made it to where you cops could get the data. Doesn't matter if the person can throw the phone off to the side or pull the SIM card and snap it in half or whatever. It uses standard cellular telephone numbers as identifiers, but not necessarily the one it's coming from, because it can be run from a computer, which isn't a cell phone and doesn't have a phone number. Just like I can have an official phone number for this YouTube account, but that doesn't mean I actually own the phone anymore or have ever had it, ever. It was a virtual phone on the internet. That's how I registered the thing. You can use a secondary phone number to sign up, so do so. And you have to verify other Signal users you're receiving and sending data from by using other methods out of band, outside of the system, such as their public keys they use to confirm themselves. Public and private key encryption can also be done as PGP or whatever ID code. You can do that to confirm someone really is the source of the data by having encrypted data transmitted. That's basic. This is not really any... Okay, I'm going to say it's absolutely different, but it isn't really different in principle to using an implementation of PGP or any other encryption method from a computer. I don't consider this extraordinary. The fact that it got a perfect score is because it was implemented very well at the time in 2014. Since then, it may still have. Many organizations are not encouraging but requiring people to use this app because they're afraid of getting shot to death for reporting on a situation in the Ukraine special operation, and other things, because it's readily available and really does work. They give them the same instructions and more on how to start it up. The company itself, if it kept data, would be required by law to give up the data if they receive a notice that they have to provide data for the authorities. So if they simply don't have data, that means they don't have anything to provide. That also means that there's no way to recover information if it's destroyed or if you lose access to it or forget your password or whatever. Claims of it being hacked. First one I'm going to bring up is 2018. During this time, they used something called domain fronting. Still do. This is used by Signal to prevent interference and jamming of users by various countries, including China, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Oman, Qatar, Iran, Cuba, Uzbekistan, and Ukraine. And for reasons that are basically, we don't want to be excluded from China, Google and Amazon briefly interfered with this function. Google now actually has stopped interfering with it and won't do so. But again, all it would do is make it to where you couldn't use the app if you were in a certain country unless you found a way around it. And obviously the company, the group doing Signal, found ways around it eventually. Also, there was a security error, a 0-day hack that was fixed in a day by people reporting it directly to the company and putting out an immediate update and a notice that would pop up saying, you need to update the app, there's a security issue. Please confirm it through our blog, the official page, do all the confirmation before you hit OK, and then hit OK, or just download a new copy of the program and have it overwrite. Version 4.47.7, aka anything made before 2019, may have this break-in. And what it did is it gave people some level of control over your cell phone exclusively, not anything else. And if they did a specific set of, voodoo from their end, they could technically get through and be able to listen to you, start a streaming phone call basically. But you would still get the ring. You just didn't know what was going on, and the microphone would be left open. See also the fact that many companies that sell you a cell phone or service it or provide service can just break in and turn on the microphone at will. So anyway, make sure you have version 4.47.8 or above, or whatever it is, and or get one that's newer than 2019, and you should be okay as far as that goes. Now we're going to get to the online claims of hacks. 2022, March 1st, coincidentally, around when something was happening, a warning was sent of hacking activity, but only to Eastern European users primarily, and it was claimed to be from official government sources. Now let me review this. Domestic propaganda that's effective in former communist countries or current ones like China, Russia, etc. If you receive a claim from an authoritarian government saying that an authoritarian government's official government sources claim that something's bad, oddly enough, that didn't work outside of those governments or those countries. But in those countries, that kind of claim works. Oh, Vladimir Putin says this program's bad, and it's only used by people who are, trying to keep him from being elected or tell everybody he's lying about special operation. Yeah, that might happen. Was it an actual hack? No, because everyone outside of the Eastern European genre and most people within it's like, right, you want me to uninstall this because the official government that I'm obviously a dissident for wants me to remove this. Oh, it's insecure. Right. They forgot to remove the domestic propaganda signature of the government says it's bad. I'm sorry, what the fuck? But anyway, yeah, that didn't fly outside of the European Union, specifically Eastern Europe, and everybody else was like, really? And then immediately messaged everybody. So did you get this lovely message from your government telling us not to use this program to try to overthrow your government? So anyway, let's move on. Let's move on here. 2020, December 10th, a specific country's that's notorious for having a specific form of secret police that has to kind of farm it out to official government contractors so that they don't legally get in trouble as much. A security firm has a blog, and this blog claimed that they had cracked Signal's database codes. They changed what they claimed repeatedly, and at first they admitted they did it from an unlocked device with the app open, which means it wasn't secured anyway because they could have just poked through the messages on it. But they claimed that they, quote, hacked the database codes. They cracked the database codes. Like they say in the movies. That if you're a computer geek, you probably are like, no, that's not really a thing. That's literally something you say for ordinary newbie consumption. It's a lot like your domestic propaganda message having a little moniker in it. That's the kind of thing you tell people who do not know what they're talking about. That is actually, by the way, cracking a database code is the first part of a sentence that would make some sense, but just using that wasn't really a good idea, and variations thereof. This is a company that also had lost access to and had a leak of 900 gigabytes of customer data in 2017. This company, that's a security company, had that happen. It included passwords and like all credentials for their product that they market. Also, coincidentally, at the time, again, this was December of 2020, they were involved in a initial public offering thing and had some scuttlebutt happen. So, hey, let's trash talk a competing product while at the same time being an unacknowledged contractor for our local government's secret police. It doesn't matter what country this is. I could be describing a dozen of them. You can look below. It's a specific country, and I'm going to warn everybody. It's a country people make memes about because they don't like the government and they don't like the belief systems in a particular group. And again, this could be literally a dozen different countries, which also, if you're not aware of it, any country, I'm going to say this because I'm an atheist. Every country I know of that has an official state-sponsored religion also happens, coincidentally, to have a secret police force that uses contractors that constantly lies about secure apps. The United States government even pokes the nose into this, but it's a little less often. But this kind of shit is very chronic. Again, separation of church and state is a good thing because it prevents dumb fuckery, apparently, at this point. But yeah, that was really silly. They kept changing their story. This is so sadly badly done. Again, let's point out the ostensibly atheistic Russian government lying about a product that was making it to where they couldn't target people and hit them with bombs during a war they started they wouldn't admit was a war. And again, the Chinese government, again, an atheistic, blah, 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 making Google and Amazon not let them get away with having people communicate without them spying on them. So, have I evaluated the source code for this program? No. Have I used it? Hell no. That would require I touch a cell phone. I don't like cell phones. Did you know your local phone company that you gave control over your phone to, in many cases, can just turn on the mic and monitor you and not tell anybody and do it through a warrant that's given out by a judge someplace on the planet? Doesn't even have to be a legitimate one. They just have to comply if they want to keep doing business with that country. So I used to offer a service where I put a slide switch that would disable the microphone and camera and the cell phone and also turn off the GPS to where the damn thing would go black until you turn it back on and then you could communicate. The cell phone functions might even still work, but you could turn off each of them selectively. So it would fail to give an accurate GPS or any GPS data, and it wouldn't let the microphone and video camera turn on at all. But you could still hear it ring and still hear somebody talking on it if they contacted you. So you knew whether or not you wanted them to hear you. Just saying. Oh, by the way, did you know that on phones like that, it would default to someplace in the middle of the ocean in some cases? Kind of funny. A lot of Google photos were in a cluster in the middle of the ocean. Can a message actually be encrypted so that a phone company can't get it? Yes, but they'll know that you're using it unless you secure it more. You have to obfuscate it. Again, that's why one of the features that was available, domain fronting, etc., was being blocked in 2018 because it kept even the phone company finding out you were using it. Can it be traced to a phone number? Yes. Can it be traced to the phone number, not her phone number or his phone number? Yeah. But then again, you can run it on a computer and it can always say, oh, I'm running from this phone, which basically tells the company that might be tracking it a lie. But they're legally required to do it, I guess. Everybody objects to this. It's dumb. I wouldn't use it for that one reason. I won't touch a cell phone when it comes to setting these up, unless I'm trying to make somebody else really unhappy by using their phone without their permission, I guess. Do I grade this as being great? No. Do I grade it as being quote-unquote perfect score? No. The Electronic Frontier Foundation did, and the fact that at least 3 or 4 entities, officially or unofficially, have tried to shit-can this thing and shit-talk it to get you to not use it, and that's the best they could do, and it was very lame, that's an endorsement. But yeah, you have to use it very intelligently. If you're going to go into this range of shit, you should be actively and professionally paranoid and appropriately paranoid. And if you're not, you shouldn't even bother. I would recommend going to pad and paper. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck.